My name is Professor Cosentino, and my action research was on increased motivation and student engagement in the classroom through DPA, which is daily physical activity. My problem statement was students who struggle to find motivation in the classroom can experience a number of issues as they progress through their academic career. Lack of confidence and lack of learning can both manifest themselves in students when they fail to be motivated in the classroom. From as early as kindergarten, a student who is not motivated can have negative repercussions on the rest of their academic careers and future careers. A teacher must find the right motivations for all students, whether it is one technique or a number of techniques that result in a positive learning environment. The statement of the research problem is, students often have trouble staying motivated in class as a result of a number of factors. These factors can include, but are not limited to, short attention spans, increased exposure to technology, and lack of comprehension. If a student goes through 2 months unmotivated, it can have severe effects on their entire academic career. This problem is, of course, not restricted just to students. This is something that I deal with every day in my life. So it's something that I wanted to help students with so that they can better manage when they grow up and move on from their academic careers. The task of motivation lies squarely on the teacher, who must find new ways to excite and inspire their students daily. Finding effective ways to keep students motivated and hungry to learn can have massive implications on both students' academic careers and students' futures. At first, I was going to cover a number of topics, but eventually, through the help, with Mina's help, I decided to focus my research on one specific question, and that question is, can increased DPA, daily physical activity, or other free time help increase the motivation of students in the classroom? And I'll discuss more about what I mean by daily physical activity or free time later on. Some definitions of central and relevant terms. Daily physical activity is a critical component of making sure that publicly funded schools in Ontario are healthy places to learn. Students have shown that when the physical health and well-being of students is supported, their academic achievement improves as well. Free time is spent away from business, work, job hunting, domestic chores, and education, as well as necessary activities such as eating and sleeping. What I mean by this is students are not just sitting in their desks all day, reading or doing homework and restricted to their seats. Motivation, the general desire of willingness of someone to do something. Confidence, the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something, firm trust. Learning, the acquisition of knowledge or skills through experience, study, or by being taught. Growth, the process of developing or maturing physically, mentally, or spiritually. And this growth, what I'm talking about, is helping my students who lack motivation or do not have perfect concentration or engagement, and helping them move closer to where we want them to be. The literature summary based on my question. All of the sources I have chosen will be beneficial to my action plan, as I have found sources which directly link to the research question, which is again, can increased DPA or free time help increase the motivation in students in the classroom? The piece I have found to be the most help is actually an article by the Ministry of Education on DPA titled, Health Schools Condition Healthy Minds. Through this article and study, we have seen that increased physical activity has increased students' attention spans because we are having students spend less time in their chairs and have them active and thinking. Some students cannot think while they are sitting and need to stand or walk around in order to think straight. This is definitely a way in which students can help stay motivated further. Now, DPA is so important because it can help students not only be physically active, but when we're physically active, we tend to make healthier choices, and we make healthier choices, we become healthier. That not only represents itself physically, but also mentally in our minds and psychologically. Literature summary continued. All of the sources I have chosen have proven to be extremely beneficial to my research topic on student motivation. It is imperative to identify what keeps your students motivated in the 21st century and how to keep them motivated. This is not something that you learn once and will be able to use for the rest of your teaching career. Our efforts to keep students motivated is a lifelong process which will need to be adjusted on a student-to-student basis each and every year. All the works that I have chosen agree on one thing: the reward-punishment system is archaic and has proven to not help students progress properly throughout the education system. We must delve deeper into our students' lives and create long, lasting relationships with them in order to help them to succeed not only academically, but also socially and mentally. A lot of teachers believe that once students are out their door or when they progress to another grade, they are no longer your problem. But we need to think of students as part of our school community, and they are under our care for their entire duration of their academic career. So we can't just think of short-term goals. We need to help them long-term as well. My research action plan. School data sources. Student conferencing. The reason I chose to do student conferencing is to help involve my students in the process in order to help them feel important and valued. I want them to understand what external factors may be involved and how they can work around them or remedy the situation. I also want to see what students believe might be a solution. Sometimes students have a different way of thinking than we do, and that's something that we need to think about as teachers because we often have closed-minded or one way of doing things. Progress reports. Progress reports are not only going to help me show students that even minimal growth is growth, but it's also going to track areas of need and those in need of extra attention. So I'm going to be able to look at these bi-weekly and see what students need extra work and what's working and what's not working. I'm going to connect with administration at my school. As always, this is so important to see what activities and resources are already in place at school and to understand how important DPA is to faculty and staff and to understand the difficulty in facilitating extra DPA in the classroom. So some schools understand that DPA is mandatory, but in all three of my placements, none of the schools use DPA. So this is something that why not use a resource that is available to us in order to not only make our students more successful, but to make our job easier as well. Because if they're healthier and they're more engaged, school is just much easier for teachers as well. Everybody wins. And conference with peers and colleagues. I want to understand what ideas have already been used in schools and what has worked and what has not, and to help with the load of working individually. A lot of teachers often attack problems individually and they think they're on a one-man or one-woman island. Teachers need to always use the resources around them, and their peers and their colleagues are resources. Some of them have had students in the past and know what works and what doesn't. So we need to draw from those in order to make life easier for ourselves and to make our students' lives better. Triangulation, validity, and reliability. The type of data I will be using are progress reports and seat work. So every week I'm going to meet with students on a one-to-one basis. I'm going to gauge how often students are completing coursework in class without the necessity to take it home for homework. This will be able to tell me how engaged they are and motivated to finish something. Anecdotal notes. At the end of each biweekly period, notes will be assessed in order to track progress. On days where DPA is administered, record the progress of each student in their focus and completion of their coursework. Student achievement. This is something that I want my students to accomplish by the end of the 2-month period. So students will be engaged and ready to participate in class. They will be focused. They will be attentive and not easily distracted, and they will be motivated to participate. Triangulation of data through placement. The triangulation of data is accompanied within my action research plan by actively involving students in the process of helping them achieve higher motivation in the classroom. Students will also be allowed to choose which types of DPA will be used in the classroom. This can be anything from YouTube videos on Dance Dance to us going to the gym if it's available and just running around and getting our pent-up aggression or our energy out of our bodies. So they will use this DPA and it will be used in the classroom to not only feel part of the process, but to also feel valued in allowing them to make their own decisions. Much of what I believe is a problem with students and motivation in school is the fact that students often feel as though they are told to do everything they do in school and have no power. They have no say in anything they're doing. By involving them in the process, I believe student engagement will increase and students will perform better. That's something that we will be able to find out at the end of the study. Validity and reliability. Validity. What techniques did you use to ensure validity, truthfulness, or believability? My study uses a number of different factors to avoid bias from what particular study researched during the planning process. Due to this variety and the number of sources I have used, who all have different approaches on how to tackle engagement and motivation in the classroom, I believe my study will not be closed-minded and will have the opportunity to succeed. Often when we do closed-minded studies or use one reference as a point of our research, often our results can become skewed, so that's something I didn't want to do. Reliability. The reliability of the study can be seen due to the duration period of 2 months. Since I am only with the students for a 2-month period, this is the longest this study can go. The reliability can also be proven due to the different sources of information and to the different people involved in the study, such as faculty, admin or administration, teachers, and students. Participants and settings. Obviously, the setting will be in our school community and specifically in our classroom. The focus will be grade 3 to 4 students and specifically those students struggling with motivation. Some students never struggle with motivation and are able to sit down and complete a task where others just can't find it. I had many days when I was in school and even now in teachers college when I'm not able to fully concentrate on something. So I need to move around, think, get myself away from the topic. The teacher. Anecdotal notes reviewed bi-weekly, and the teacher-to-student conferencing, which will be the most important part of the study. Administration. As mentioned before, conferencing schedules set up with administration to discuss progress and new ideas. Keeping administration in the loop is so important as opposed to showing them results of what you're doing at the very end of the process. If you can show them something every week or every 2 weeks, it can really show them the work that you're doing in school. Colleagues. Discuss with colleagues, as I said earlier, who have previously taught the student or have the students during planning time. What one teacher might be doing is something that another teacher might not be doing, and it's something that could vastly improve the students' motivation and engagement. Ethical considerations. The ethical considerations of this study include keeping everything students say to me during conferencing confidential and making sure to respect their privacy. It is also important to understand that some students may not be able to improve concentration because of external factors. We must work with them, but also be understanding of their lives outside of the school community. Sometimes, no matter what we do in school, something happening at home, such as problems with parents, lack of money, lack of food, can affect our students' work in the classroom. Closure. The implementation of this study will be beneficial to me in the long term of my teaching career because teachers are always looking for ways to keep students motivated and engaged in the classroom. This study will also be beneficial because it will keep our students active, healthy physically, and most importantly, healthy psychologically and mentally. If the study is successful, I understand that each classroom and each student is different. But if some techniques work, they will definitely be part of my teaching arsenal in the future. This study will not be a one-time study, but something that I can start every academic year with my students to keep every single classroom that I teach engaged and motivated in order to allow them to be as successful as possible. Just some notes, the literally annotated bibliography. The first book that I spoke about centers around the various ways to keep students motivated in the classroom through a variety of techniques and strategies. The book really focuses in on information-driven data in order to prove the point that you cannot motivate all students the same way. The second book that I used discusses boredom in the classroom and centers around current findings on why students are continuously bored in the classroom. The author goes in-depth into the relationship between boredom and its relationship with academics, and even delves into the effects of boredom can have on the emotional levels in students both inside and out of the classroom. Thirdly, this is the study I spoke about earlier on. The focus of this link was to discuss the correlation between healthy students and daily physical activity that was conducted by the Ministry of Ontario in 2005. The most important thing that I found staggering in this was between 1981 and 1996, the number of obese children in Canada between the ages of 17 and 13 tripled. And that concludes my presentation. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it's something that you can use in the future.